Namaste, everyone, and welcome back to this amazing session of Empower Hour, which is back after quite a few months. And today I am beyond excited to welcome someone truly special, a soul who radiates with creativity, vulnerability, and a lot of divine wisdom. I met Karthik in Twin Flame Retreat India, which I had conducted this January. And from the moment we connected, his energy felt like a fresh breath of air. Very vibrant, grounded, and very much heart centered. Karthik realized that he embodies the divine feminine energy in a male body, and he holds this beautiful space of balance, grace, and soulful expression. Like many of us, initially Karthik began his journey by following a traditional path by doing his masters in engineering and aviation, but his spiritual awakening cracked him open, and then he was on this roller coaster to ultimately figure out the blooming in himself. Today, Karthik is a multidisciplinary artist, a storyteller, and a deeply intuitive being whose life and a twin flame journey have become a canvas for a transformative experience. His twin flame journey began back in 2014 when he was just 12 years old. And this amazing encounter with his twin flame, who is 35 years older to him, the connection that has defied all the logic in his life but has laid him straight into the depths of unconditional love, inner work, and creative expansion. This is going to be a deeply heart-opening conversation, one of truth, soul, and surrender. So let's welcome a beautiful being that is Karthik. So thank you for coming. I think you are the first person who is a guy who is coming on.
Me,
Apart from the couple, there was this couple and Mission who had come together to share. But apart from him, this is like a first solo interview that I'm taking. That's really a great sign. Everybody will feel nice to see some.
yeah, I think this is a great, huge milestone in being on your channel. So thank you. I also had to have the right timing to be here. I was ready back last year, but I think I'm more ready now.
What made you feel that you can actually come on a public platform and share about this experience? What was that seed there in your heart?
I think definitely seeing one of your videos, I think was the place where I felt like I'm ready to share my story. But I don't think last year when I reached out to you, I was fully ready, to be honest. In that moment, I just felt and I reached out to you. But now I think last few months that the way there were phases where people have confronted me and I've shared my story with them, and there has been so much huge acceptance, and I've widely shared it with a lot of people, and especially the retreat, the collective also, I've shared so much, and there's been so much resonance and acceptance. And personally, also having that acceptance that this connection exists and I embrace this connection, all of that together allows me to be in this fine, and it will reach only the people who it has to reach to, is what I know. So I don't care, like, and I don't think it matters at the end of the day. Yeah.
As you said that you are having a different sort of a background, you went into engineering and you went into this aviation thing. So how that whole progression happened from your traditional life to your spiritual awakening? How did that happen? And even this career change. I'm sure that must be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think from childhood, I was always like a creative kid. I used to be always in the segments of doing creative things, even in school. And I was very different in my. But the thing is, you get into a structure, right? When
Yeah.
you grow up, you become into structure, and I just followed it through. I think 1 year before I met, no, I'd actually already seen her, my twin flame, but back then is when my fire into photography awakened.
So when did you see your twin flame, by the way?
I don't remember the exact because I was too young. I was around 12 or something.
Okay.
So around 2009, I think is when I first saw. We had just returned from Delhi, and that was when I think around the first time when I saw her. So after that, it took me a long time to talk to her, get to her. I always felt that magnetism. I would, as a kid, if there's a seat beside her, I would go sit beside her and all that things. But then it took a long time. In terms of my change in career and all that, photography got ignited there. I was into sketching and all before that, but photography got ignited there for me. And I loved capturing people. So then I got into dance photography. I got a lot of things. I didn't have my own camera, so I used to take from my friends for a very long time. And then I did commission sketches for people. So I was side hustling a lot. Like during my studies, also I used to be into this creative space, always constantly working towards it. But then in society, that can't be your career, right? It's that kind of space where you're being constantly told you have only three choices: engineering, doctor, or law. Because I also like machines and how I was always curious, and that led me into a lot of different things. So that curiosity of how machines work and all that led me towards engineering as well. And then that's when I was like, okay, let me do engineering. Maybe something will come out of it, like maybe design and all that. And then that's where I was then intrigued towards aviation because I wanted to know how it flies. But I enjoyed my masters and all that. But when I did my masters, I realized as a career, I'll not thrive in it because it's a template driven job.
Yeah.
So that's when I was side hustling back then, and it was taking a lot of effort for me to not be able to concentrate on both ends. And then that's when I was like, there's probably a time that I should be taking that call. And there was also a trigger from my twin flame. Every year after 2020, we had this thing where every New Year she would send me a message with piece of wisdom. And somehow, art to art, she does not know what circumstance I'm in, but somehow it would become a theme of my life that year. So in 2022, she didn't know I was working in Air France then, and she didn't know anything about that. And she didn't know I was thinking about quitting my job, nothing. But that year she said, just believe in yourself, and your success depends on enjoying your work and you being happy with your work. I think I have it on my wallpaper as well still now. And some of that line, it's like in the trigger for me to finally quit my job and do what I want to do in the art field. And that is the year I quit and I was back into, and it for 6 months was hard, but now I'm finally able to sustain with art and whatever I do right now.
Wow. So, what is your awakening story? How did you awaken?
Uh,
And when? What was your age?
I think that was when I was in France in 2019 was when my dark night of the soul happened. I was first time. I think my spiritual journey had started like 2014. I was someone, or my family was someone who's not so much into God or so much into spirituality. I didn't even know the word about spirituality until I awakened. I started getting towards it from 2014. But 2019, when I moved out of the country, I started living alone. A lot of things went haywire. I was a good student and then suddenly found myself in a new environment of studying. That also put me down. I was homesick and then I had a fight with my twin flame. So she had blocked me and all those things happened. So I was in a very bad space in 2019 in first dark night of the soul, first major dark night of the soul happened then. And then post 2020, I didn't even know about all these terms, right? So I was in this phase where what is happening? I don't know what's happening with me. Probably this connection needs a reset button. And I had given up. And suddenly during August 2020, I started having major recurring dreams with her to an extent where one of the dreams where she had touched my neck and I felt that after waking for hours. And that's when I started researching a lot and what is happening. Because I was also into science fiction and all that a lot. And so I used to read about dreams and I used to constantly research, but nothing was hitting me in this point. And I think that's when I was constantly searching all the aspects and stuff like that. And then that's when I came across your Quora as well, I think. And then when the whole twin flame thing came, I started connecting the dots that whole last 6 years that I'd been. I'm like, oh my God, this is what I've gone through. And After that, there was this around November 2020, there was this one more major significant dream that I had where I was in auditorium. I'm not supposed to be there. I know that I'm not supposed to be there. It's me and my sister is there and she's there. And they're decking up something for my birthday or something. And there's a piece that they have to choose. She's choosing. One is I love you, and the other one is a rose quartz with engraved you're a part of me. And I've done a painting of this as well because it has got so vivid on me. And then she asked my sister which do we keep. And my sister chooses the I love you one, but she's a little hesitant about you probably wanted to choose this, you're a part of me kind of thing. And that dream stuck with me for months. And in February 2021 is when I started painting it and all that. But before that is, I think that dream somehow triggered something. It was like a milestone in me or something like that. Eventually, by December, somehow something had awakened as enlightened suddenly. A lot of things were happening in life. Suddenly, there was a huge amount of enlightenment. And then the process of, I would say that was the point where my spirituality is where I realized there is something in me. I started connecting to the moon a lot more, moon cycles a lot more. I started getting into meditation cycle, and then eventually got into crystals and all those aspects. So eventually that was the starting point for me to completely understand what spirituality is, what was happening, started connecting to planets and all those aspects, astrological aspects as well. And then yeah, now it's just been after that went through multiple dark night of the souls, but yeah, it's been a great process. I think that was the first point I understood that I've gone through the spiritual awakening. Yeah.
I am sure that this journey was definitely not easy because, as you told me, that you have a big age gap between you and her.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how much age gap you have, and what was your struggle when it comes to accepting that you have this connection with her and it is not conventionally romantic, but you still have that feeling? So, it's like a big package of jumbled up stuff. So, how were you navigating that?
We have 35 years age gap. Is 35 years itself is a lot for if you think of it in a properly a society conditional way. It's a lot, right? So for me, initially I didn't know. I was a kid. I didn't understand what was happening with me. I was just magnetized towards what was happening, right? And somehow after a few years in 2014 was when we initiated the content. And then immediately there was a huge connection. Both of us felt that connection probably, and then we were in that bubble phase. It was great. Then I got emotionally attached a lot. Once I got emotionally attached, what happened was I didn't want to lose her in a certain way. And only way I could not lose her is having her as a motherly figure in my life.
Yeah.
Then I got into that template. I put this connection in that
Yeah.
template of putting her in a motherly, and she probably did not think of it so much back
Yeah.
then. So I put it in a very motherly template, and whatever I guilt tripped on this whole connection, and whatever I was feeling, I was like, I shouldn't be feeling this because she's like a mother to me.
Yeah.
So that whole process was like that. But I think after my awakening, there was a lot of triggers that led me into understanding that I shouldn't be feeling this guilt because this connection is beyond any label. And whatever growth I have now is because of this connection, and I shouldn't be holding. And I think around 20 to after my awakening, I also had a lot of metaphysical feelings, sexual energy, third energy. So I was put in a situation where I had to start understanding and accepting this connection more than any label and get out of that thinking that she's just a motherly figure in my life. She's much more than that. And 2022, I think, is when I fully got into acceptance that, okay, this is much more than that. I need to accept it. And that's when that year itself, towards the end, when I even confessed to her.
What was the confession story all about? And before that, how much time you were actually running? Because this whole acceptance process that you were labeling her in a mother-son relationship, this transition,
Yeah.
shading off
Yeah.
label and coming to this full acceptance that this connection is beyond something and I should not hold any guilt towards anything. How much is the transition period?
It started in 2015.
Okay.
But I was not actually running that, not the typical running. I was just in this phase. But otherwise, I was chasing. Like, I was constantly in reach out. I wanted her in my life. I was
Yeah.
like emotionally dependent on her. Everything, like my mood would depend on her. So, I from 2015 to almost till 2021, 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So it's
was in
quite
that
a
guilt.
long period. Yeah.
Yeah, a long period of guilt that I was holding, that I was not supposed to feel this way for her.
Yeah.
It took a long time for me to accept that there is something like this. Even after I knew the twin flame term,
Yes.
there was a lot of doubt. Like, I think twin flame term I got to know by 2020, but still it took me 2.5 years to understand a lot of synchronicities, a lot of validations that process I had to go through to finally be like, okay, this is something and this is there. And yeah,
Yeah.
that is what happened.
So what was the question I asked you earlier before this?
The confession story.
Yeah, yeah. How did you confess her? Yeah.
Actually, what 2022, when I was supposed to come back, I had already decided that once I come back, I'm gonna tell her. But somehow, for a silly reason, some fight happened and she ended up blocking. We were in good terms, but she ended up blocking me again. And then after that, I again went to back into a smaller dark night of the soul, which broke my heart. I didn't understand what was happening again and all that. And then towards the end of that year, I was trying to cope with this. We ended up accidentally meeting in a temple, and there she said, "Be yourself." Like, I was trying to convince her to unblock me, and then she said, "Be yourself." And then I'm like, maybe instead of waiting to confess face to face, let me just send out a mail to her, tell everything that I feel. Right next day, I just typed a huge mail saying, "You mean more than to me than my mother," or something like that. You're everything that is all possible in the universe. Or these are some lines that I had written. I just sent that and I felt free. I think even my throat chakra opened. I had a lot of throat issues as well before that. But after that, I am able to speak my truth more and more. So after the confession, there was a whole different me that evoked. Immediately after that, we were put in a room for 3 continuous days.
Okay.
But there was a lot of silence and awkwardness. But yeah, after that, we have constantly been put last few years. But yeah, it's been silent. But there is a growth through that silence as well.
This is a great point that you mentioned because we keep talking about this, that the confrontation to your twin flame in 3D is a very major and important milestone in any journey. So I think whatever you have shared also is signifying the same thing. So
Yeah.
thank you for putting that forward. And I also want to know her reaction because most of the people are worried or concerned about, okay, I would confront, but what happens if the other person says no or they deny? So obviously you must have faced those things, especially
Yeah.
because of the big age gap also, like that age gap factor also I definitely want to discuss with you. But how did you handle the aftermath?
There was no particular reaction from her. It was just silence. There was no interaction. I am sure she read the mail. For 3 days continuous, we were putting in a wedding where we are in front of each other. We had eye contacts, but there's absolute silence. After that, there has been situations where we were put in the same room. There was a lot of silence and all that. But then there was also an hot and cold moment where she got a picture clicked by me in one of the events, and then eventually that evening itself, again there is a silence mode. So there has been a lot of hot and cold moments, and there's been a lot of silence. But I respect that because she's processing it, because I'm lucky that I know the spiritual side of it, but
Yeah.
she being the matrix twin does not understand all this. She's still seeing it from that age gap point of view and what society is gonna think, right? So I understand, I'm compassionate about it, and I'm fine to give that space to her. I have made efforts. I have tried to reach out to her and all that, made majorly, but with humans, I think I'm just in that space where I'm fine with her not being around as well. Like, her presence is anyways fine.
But have she ever given you a silent signal with her body language that she feels the connection the same way you feel?
Not in recent, there has been minor things, but prior to my awakening, the pre-awakening phase, there was always this one smirk or in her, every time she would see me, there would be a smirk on her face. Her eyes would light up. And even now, there would be something that I feel always that she also feels it. And that's there. Sometimes my delusional mind still thinks that it's just you thinking, but yeah, it's there. I think it's definitely there. Or else I don't think like after that period of Dark Night of the Soul, that first fight that we had, I raged on her. I don't think we should have come back into each other's life, but we did. And I am someone who let go of people very easily. It's not a very difficult task for me. If someone's not in the same mindset or same frequency for me, it comes very easy for me to be okay. If we are not in the same space or same place, I'm fine with we respect each other and we are outgrowing that. That's all. But with her, that was not the case. I was losing my mind because I knew myself as that person. But here I was not able to let go of someone who's not been treating me right as well. And then over and again, every time I try to overcome it, she comes back and then goes away again. So that was also like a major validation that it was something more than any other connection.
I wanted to ask also about your family because you have been seeing her in the setup where there is a community, there is something
Yeah,
culturally going on, and obviously I am considering that your parents are also aware of her
yeah, yeah.
as a person, not as your twin flame. So did they sense that there is something going on between you two, or you confronted something to your parents, or even this whole setup, like it's little weird, you know? So
Yeah, I think there were phases where my mom or my sister did not like it.
are
Like
they
when
sensing
I
it
got,
that you are having this attraction towards her?
I think they did to a certain extent, but they didn't ever confront me in that way. They just thought we both were super close. And it was visible for everyone around in our community. Everyone knew, and eventually it became a wrong kind of rumor was also spread. I think that also triggered her a lot because she didn't want to be seen that way. And that is where the drift also started happening. And I could sense it even before my first awakening that I could start sensing there was a drift happening already and that the major flash happened. But yeah, I think my parents and my dad's not in that scene. He never understands all this. But my mom and my sister, I had also a lot of argument with my sister and my mom. My mom was just like her point of view. My sister's point of view was like, you have your mother. Why do you need another motherly figure kind of person in your life? Why do you have to share so much so closely to her and all that kind of a situation? But I think now, as I have gone through that phase, they have also come to an acceptance. I have the frame that you gave me on the retreat. It's on my desk now. It's clear. And my wallpaper is with her. And they see it all the time. None of them have questioned it. So recently, I've also shared very briefly from an incident. Recently, when I met my friend Flem in an event, and my mom was also there. On the way back, I told my mom that this is some connection that I have with her. I told very briefly, and my mom did not deny it as well. So ended up sharing my story with a lot more people, and there's a lot more acceptance as I have accepted myself. I think first stage is to accept ourselves because we are constantly in denial and we are constantly overthinking it. Once you accept that you're not doing anything wrong, you just agreeing to what your soul wants. And if you truly understand that self within, then everyone else around you will not majorly take it away.
That's
So
true. I think that specific thing that your inner state of being will definitely start reflecting in your outer world.
yeah.
And I have had the same experience. Like when I release this guilt that I was having wrongly in my heart, that
Mm.
I'm doing something wrong with my husband by loving somebody else. And it was completely gone. I have never experienced anything negative from my husband because he completely understands what I have been in.
Yeah.
Another question I want to ask you is what is the current state? What is she doing right now, and where do you stand? And if there is no contact or silence coming from her, or she's blocking you, how are you handling that?
See, I've been blocked now on WhatsApp since 2022. So now it's been 3 years. So it does not make a difference to me anyway. Like I am fine with not having any contact. And I think that was for a good cause. I think only then that triggered me to have 5D communication.
Yeah.
That helped me to tap into and channel into 5D communication and understand the presence and take the flow through my higher self, her higher self. So if not for that, I don't think if she had still made me have contact, we had contact in 3D, I don't think I would have tapped into that space. So that was a major point for me. But otherwise, I think, see, recently you were put in a situation where I tried to dedicate it a lot for her and on the Women's Day and stuff like that. And there was a major trigger point and all that. But I did not get triggered. That was the major point for me. I was in my space. It was a trigger for her. And after that, I have been very peaceful. I have been in my zone of working towards what I want to work since I have a little bit of clarity that I am what I'm working on. And a lot of my energy and time has been put there rather than thinking anything more over the connection. The connection aspects are coming. There are a lot of synchronicity that is coming sometimes in my body and sometimes very weirdly and stuff like that. But that's a part of parcel of this journey, and I'm just grateful to experience all these things. But yeah, I'm in this space where I am fine of her not being in my life anymore. Even if she awakens and understands the connections and then with her free will decides not to come back to me, I'm fine. Last 1 year, I was way too waiting for our acknowledgement. I was in very like stubborn in face that I want one acknowledgement that to feel that it's not just me. She also feels it kind of a situation. But now I'm finally in that phase where I'm like, I'm fine. I don't need, I know it that whatever I've felt is true and I will carry that forward with me no matter whatever the situation is. If she comes back, great. I would love to initiate our purpose or union together. But if not, also I'm fine. I'm gonna carry that forward. I have to be in that space. But yeah, let's see where this goes because we never know. It's a
Oh, yes, we never know. As we say, that best is yet to come. You never know what's going to be.
yeah, expect the unexpected. Yeah,
Yeah. But I'm glad. I'm so
but
glad to hear this from you because so many people are still struggling with this thing. I have been interacting with people who come and tell me that, oh, it's been 3 weeks. He didn't talk to me. So there is a definite need for everybody to increase that resilience and come to this level of acceptance that the physical separations happens for a reason. So utilize it for your highest best instead of getting so much into that 3D thing that, oh, he didn't reply to me, 2 months happened. There is definitely a need for most of the twin flame collective who is still stuck in that to and
I
fro.
think it's also the timeline that we live in where there's possibility of constant communication. Now I look at it in a way that if I was born when she was born,
Yeah.
and we had the term where that connection back then, only possible way for us to communication was letters, sending it through
Oh,
pigeons,
yeah.
probably in that situation, right? Then there's no point of me expecting so much just because there's a possibility of communication, regular communication right now. The communication can happen. There's huge things that I've experienced. There was a situation where I think last year, April, is when her mom was not well. I didn't know about this. She was in hospital or something. And that whole week, I was feeling a huge energy of her wanting comfort. I didn't understand because for a while I was not feeling a lot of energy. And that whole week I was feeling a lot of wanting comfort. And then a mutual said, that her mom was hospitalized and she was in hospital. And that's when I realized, oh my God, that is why I was feeling this. And I don't think I would be able to tap into all these spaces if we were in regular communication because I would know that she's in hospital. And
Yeah.
I would not be able to tap into these different energies that can be felt, which is very, very beautiful to feel and very profound.
I wanted to ask you this question, which was
Yeah.
related to inner work, because so many people keep asking this question, inner work, inner work. Every soul is standing at a different juncture in their life, and they need to pave their way forward for that inner work that they need to do. So I would like to know from you, like, what is inner work for you, and what is it that you want to share about it?
For me, I think in our social media and in the way people communicate in our work, it's that typical meditating, do your chakras and do your journaling and stuff like that. For me, I don't think I never connected with it. For
Yeah.
me, it was about introspecting what was triggering me at that point. For me, even on that first dark night of the soul that happened, I knew it was not the situation that I had with my twin flame or what was happening in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I embodied that self-awareness that it was all the traumas that I had through my early ages of life, and I had to embody. So I lacked self-love. First dark night of the soul was about that. So I had to start embracing myself first. So after that, then when she abandoned me in 2022, I understood that I had a lot of fear of abandonment within me because of one small situation that happened in my childhood where I got lost in a circus. It was a very small thing, but that inscribed that fear within me. So it's about going back in phases of your life. So for me, how it worked was understanding that phase of trigger that I had from my twin flame, understanding that trigger, and then trying to go back into my life and understand where what was happening. As I said, that circus part, right? That trigger. I would have probably never thought of it in general if I was thinking. But when I sit with myself, then eventually I start with every age group that I grew up from like my first few years, then the middle age, and then the third, like the teenage year. I sat through it and understood where were the trigger parts for me and what was my twin flame mirroring. And that was inner work for me.
Yeah.
That was the major. Then later on, I think there are a lot more other aspects. You might have fast life traumas and all those, but that will eventually come through. But main thing is this current life, you might have a lot of triggers and a lot of trauma. And at least for me, I had gone through awakening in a very early life. So I didn't have so much of dump to clear out, but still there was a lot of things that had happened. I had to go through the trauma of that sexual abuse that I had. And then I had to let go of the self-worth issues that I had. All those things had to be worked on, and that could be worked on only through that different phases. Our inner child had to be spoken to. Like I sat through, there was this one phase where 4, 5 months, every evening I would sit through and talk to different parts of me. They would be all of them from 2-year-old to the 8 to 10-year-old to 11 to 12-year-old or the teenage year old. All of them, we would sit in a group and talk and comfort each other, kind of thing, situation like this. And that is what was my inner work. Does not have to be everyone's inner work. You can find your own way of inner work. It does not have to have a defined way. So yeah, that is it. What I would say.
Great, great. Thank you for sharing that. Maybe I can even invite you for, you can craft one nice session with this concept. Like you can make people
Yeah,
call themselves at different age groups and identify certain things. That's a good way. That's a great way to do it. Yeah.
we did that thing where you're in the retreat, the mother and the father one as well,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that, something like that, but specific to themselves would also help. Yeah.
It's a very similar thing. Another very important question I want to ask you is about the energy that you identify with. As you said, that you have always identify yourself as a feminine energy in a male body, right? So this is something I feel you should definitely elaborate on in this interview, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who are wanting to know specifically about it, and very few have the courage to open up on that particular
Uh,
subject. So how has your journey been? Like, when did you first even understand what is the difference between holding a feminine energy, or what is the energy all about? Many people have this confusion that masculine is a male, feminine is a female. That's like the general identification.
yeah.
So, when that clarity came to you, and when did you actually start identifying yourself as a feminine energy? And was there any conflict because you are a male? Outside world identifies you as a masculine. So, how was that journey for you?
I think understanding of that energy came through the twin flame journey after my awakening itself, right? Like around 2021. But it felt like I always embodied a lot of feminine energy. Even in my childhood, I was into more feminine activities than masculine activities, doing a lot of creativity. And being different in that space also made it difficult for me. I was a bullied kid in my school. I was thoroughly bullied for being different than all the other boys. And I was always constantly also in doubt because you are very different from what most peers around you are. And that makes you also think a lot of time. And then I was also put in a situation where I was abused sexually as well, and all those aspects. And creativity just flowed for me all the time. Creativity was where I thrived in. And once I understood that space and once I awakened, there was also a major situation where I had a talk with the spirit and I had a whole sketch where it was about the dark feminine energy that was in this earth and that needed healing. And that's one of the reasons why I chose to come in the male's body to understand what the other side of the thing is and how I can help being a male to empower the woman. So that was the major trigger point when I understood, okay, probably I am a divine feminine, and I always embraced my divine feminine side. It was the masculine side that struggled in me. I always embraced the feminine side always, and I thrived in it. It was the masculine side where I had to put the balance in, and I think lately I've been able to work through those aspects and the way my twin flame journey has progressed and way my twin flame has gratefully has triggered me and mirrored me. It was that I had to focus on a lot of my masculine side. I started embracing the masculine side. I had to start take up responsibilities in the physical world. I had to start being more disciplined. I had to be in doing things in the matrix a lot more, not just embracing my feminine side. And I think that was the point after I understood these energies within. Also, because I was also there in the career shift phase, there was a lot of imbalance. I was inclining too much towards the matrix side. And then the feminine side, I had to submerge a little. But then that way of balancing was very important for me. And right now, I think running a business which is towards the feminine energy and creativity and all that, and doing a lot of physical activity on the personal development phase, being disciplined, talking a lot more on the creative side, helping people on the creative side. All this is bringing a lot of balance within me. It's not just about the feminine energy, but also embracing my masculine energy in the 3D world. At the same time, like for me, I think my feminine is on always on the 5D level, giving me inputs, giving me the things to do and all those. But my masculine is the one that makes me grounded in the 3D and helps me activate my 5D feminine energy, and that's the balance that I've thankfully got in last few months. That is allowing me to embrace both sides of me, being a male, and also the acceptance that I'm fine with telling people that I have a feminine energy.
Yeah.
That is me. I do activities. Since most of my art is turned into profession, there is this one art form that still feels very divine to me is the Kathak that I do.
Yeah.
It's very feminine. At the same time, it's masculine.
Yeah.
So it's that one art form that makes me balance both well, really well as well. So there are the different activities that I do that help me balance both. Anyone who feels creative has a huge amount of feminine energy within them. Initially, everyone has this creative energy, even masculine do, but they lack the embracement of the feminine energy.
Yes.
They say, "Oh, we are not creative. I can't do this." But you are not just embracing that creative energy, that feminine energy that you have within you. The whole creation of something new feels very good, very transcendental, because you are tapping into that creator soul, and that is only possible through feminine energy and things like that. So yeah, I think I'm finally finding that balance of balancing both sides, and which just feels good. Feels like an inner union.
Absolutely amazing. Now, to extend that understanding, I also want to get a bit more into the sexual aspect because when it comes to the sexuality involved in this connection, you are still attracted to a woman, right? So there could be a confusion in the
Yeah.
people's mind, like how the sexuality aspect is working over here. So, can you
Yeah.
elaborate something more on that?
I think I feel like I'm attracted to women who have more stronger divine masculine.
Yeah.
For example, my twin flame is like she has a lot of feminine grace in 3D. She's beautiful, she has that feminine grace, but she embodies a lot of masculine energy. She loves taking responsibility. She's into leadership. She takes a lot of action plans. She loves doing action and societal work. So that is a very
Yeah.
masculine embodied energy. And generally itself, I'm attracted to women who are confident by themselves, who can take them, who are leadership, who are not dependent on things, or who have that very masculine kind of energy. That is the one that I'm probably attracted to. That is because it's coming from a divine feminine. And I don't think it's needed. In my childhood, when I was bullied, I was called out a lot of names and all those aspects and stuff like that. But I never felt it because I knew that I'm a male by gender, but that does not mean I need to feel that for another male.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Those aspect is not required. Even though if I'm feminine, I don't need to be in love with the masculine in the 3D. Like a woman can also have a masculine energy majorly. And that is what I feel. I think even now I feel attracted to women who are independent, who are confident by themselves,
Yeah.
and who embody that more of that masculine energy. And that's probably just comes through me, through my divine feminine. And it does not have anything to do with the 3D world.
Yeah, I mean, somewhere I have this understanding, which is pretty much validated by what you're saying, is that which energy you're holding and what is your sexual orientation. These two are different things. So
Yeah,
we will see people who are having the feminine energy, but they also have the homosexual orientations. They
yeah,
don't get attracted to the same gender. And then there will also be people like you who know that you imbibe feminine energy, but you are straight, like you are not having
yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah,
sexual orientation. So it's a difference about the sexual orientation and
yeah.
the energy aspect and the sexual orientation are two different
Yeah,
things.
I think because this whole new LGBTQ thing has the spectrum has started, I think, and the people who have awakened just getting confused between these aspects. I think sexual orientation is a whole different thing. It's a lot more physical as well. And then
Yeah.
this aspect of it is very different, is what I feel. It not necessarily have to be physical. It can be just metaphysical aspect as well. So yeah.
So this is another curious question that comes to my mind. And as you are young, you are unmarried, you are attracted to a person who is 35 years older than you. What is it with your dating scene? Like, have you dated anybody, or do you get attract, or do you flirt with anybody, or do you feel that you should see somebody which is your age? Or do you even get attracted to people who are very much similar age to your twin flame?
Yeah, one thing is it's hard because I was 16 when my first initiation, like first talk happened with her, and I started feeling that connection strongly. After that, I just couldn't connect with anyone else. Yeah. And because of that, it became so hard for me to even talk to anyone or embody anything. It becomes very hard. Like I have never dated. I've never been on dates. I've never felt that connection with people, anyone else of the opposite gender. I don't know. It's not just on the dating scene, but in general itself, I don't feel very connected to my age group a lot because the way they're thinking and the way it's very rare. In rare occasions in my field, there were people into art and all that. Sometimes I do, but it's a very rare scenario. I'm much better with the older people, and it's easy for me somehow. I don't know how it is, but yeah, it's been hard. But at the same time, that also has been a process because first I was in that phase where I felt, oh, I have this connection now. I shouldn't be feeling for anyone else kind of a situation. But then I got into a space where I accepted that, oh, okay, maybe I can feel this for someone else. I got into a guilt that I'll be doing injustice for anyone else who comes into my life. I'll be doing a lot of injustice to them because I am in this connection and I'm always going to have this and might not be able to give my 100%. But then lately I have come into a phase where it's okay to hold space for your twin flame, and that connection is very precious and different. Yet at the same time, because love is abundant and it's not restricted in a box, it keeps flowing through you, and you can give that unconditional love for someone else in who is vibrating in the same frequency as you. And I think lately I've been into that zone of finally I just want to be in that space of receival as well. So though there is nothing coming out of it, there is no phase that I've been ever to be in the receival space. I've been in that dating apps and all trying out, but nothing is coming out of it and all that. But I just want to be in that receival phase, and I think that was a recent trigger by my twin flame also to for me to be in that receival phase. And yes, I would definitely agree that I see some parts of my twin flame in some other older woman. Do get attracted to that person, but that is probably because I see my twin flame in them. Yeah. But otherwise, I think I'm in that space now where I'm fine to ready to receive an high vibrational soulmate who can probably eventually will understand my journey and support me through my journey if it comes, if it does not. So I'm fine living my life.
Has this family pressure started coming to you, especially as we are coming from the Indian culture that, oh, you are now 25, 26. What about your marriage and that pressure which starts building up?
I think I'm fortunate with that. I'm lucky. My mom understands me a lot more. I don't know, maybe once I turn 30, few years, my dad or my mom might start telling, or there might be other external family pressure. But as of now, my mom understands that I'm not in that phase of marriage. I'm also building something which is substantial in my businesses and my art field. I need time with it, and marriage will just probably not allow me to be focused, and I can't give the time to probably a soul who comes into my life so much. So my mom understands that. My sister also appreciates it a lot more. So I think I'm lucky and fortunate that I don't have that typical pressure of it. And I think eventually also if I feel like I never want to get married, I probably, even if I meet a high vibrational soulmate, I don't think I'll put the tag of marriage in it. He will probably not as be okay with it.
So, coming to the spiritual journey that you have been on, what is the most transformative experience so far? Any incident or any event or anything that is specific which comes to you when it comes to a very profound shift or transformation for you?
I don't think I can pinpoint one specific thing because this whole journey has been like a roller coaster ride. But at the end of that roller coaster ride, all I see is there's a lot of blooming around. I could have never imagined myself. I don't think the pre-COVID, pre-2019 self would have ever imagined to be what I am today 5 years down the line. Even if I had written all the manifestations, I don't think these were the points would have never come.
Yeah.
And I have been super grateful for this journey to her for only that aspect that whatever I am today is because of the fire that this connection has ignited within me. There has not been one or two instances. I think it's a lot. It's majorly last 5 years has been very transformative after my spiritual awakening and multiple instances of a dark night of the soul where there were trigger points, right? But I think one of the major, like I was doing a lot of inner work and working through the fear of abandonment that I had as a growing child and all those aspects I was working through. But I think what helped me was definitely one of the major transformative point was being there in the retreat with all of you because that because that validated a lot for me because I was constantly also in doubt that I don't know if this is the journey. I'm probably just delusional. And then being around with 20 other people who feel the same way, somehow something shifted in me definitely. And that was the final knock for my inner union. And after that, I just landed in Bangalore and I don't know, I felt her energy. I used to feel a lot of her energy, but the way that day I felt her very stable in my heart center and the way after that I have been is absolutely blissful. And that was the major milestone for me. And I think that has now led me to go towards my soul purpose, lead me towards what I want to do and what.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. As you said about soul purpose, I don't want to put forward soul purpose as something which you can declare that this is my soul purpose because it comes from the ego mind. But in the current scenario, in the current timeline, whatever is your understanding, which you are feeling for now, that what is your soul calling? What are you feeling drawn to? Do you feel that you have found your purpose or you are on your way to find your purpose? What is it?
So I think it will eventually grow larger and larger.
Yeah.
At the starting point now, I feel my one of my main major point is to spread creativity in the world, to start help people embrace that creativity, teach the ways for people to tap into the creative space and able to make a living out of it.
Okay.
That is one of the things. Other than that, I also have that brand that I'm working was is towards helping people, not anything to do with spirituality, but to help people with the wellness segment on how they can just do. We don't talk anything about spirituality, but just embodying people into doing being into the wellness segment, helping them physically and internally, and then mentally and with the mindset aspect as well. And that I feel the community, even if people don't awaken in general, even in Matrix, if people can just consciously put that aspect of wellness, it eventually helps the Earth's consciousness to grow. So that is where I'm trying to lead into right now, and I've been led into that creative teaching aspect is slowly developing. And then the physical aspect, physical wellness and all the mental aspects is also developing inside. So there are multiple things happening simultaneously for me. So I don't know, eventually, probably, I don't know if my twin flame is gonna join in certain aspect to me or not, but I'm fine. She's lit this fire within me, and I'm fine to go through it with unconditional love spreading to the world. Even if I have to do it alone, I know what I want to do, and nothing changes if she joins or she does not join.
Great. So, one thing that's coming to my mind is if at all there is any message that you want to give to the collective, the Twin Flame collective, what it would be.
I think considering that love towards your twin flame, that unconditional love needs to be given to you first, and then embody that towards the world. because I think most of us in those phases, we are just putting the blanks on either ends of us and we are just looking at our twin flame and we want to receive it back. But to receive back also, you need to be in a space of receival as well as giving.
Yeah.
And give it not just to your twin flame, but give it to everyone that you love, everyone. You don't keep restrict that love space. And once you start embodying that unconditional love within you see the world very differently. You will start embracing the smallest of smallest things, the smallest moments in life very beautifully, from a very different perspective. And you will end up becoming your higher self. So I think you'll embody your higher self day by day as you embody unconditional love. So I would say the don't just focus in a very 3D realistic way, romantic way of this connection. This connection is much more profound than any of the other aspects. And sorry if this triggers anyone, but this is what it is. It's not anything about the 3D. It's much more profound than it's great if you guys have union with your twin flame in 3D. That's lovely, good, but that's not the end of it. There is a lot more aspects of it than the specific 3D romantic template, I think. That's what we are here for to break it. So don't get stuck on it, is what I would say.
Thank you. Thank you for such an amazing message. I also have this fun rapid round, okay?
Oh,
I want
nice.
to ask you a few questions. I mean, it's not like a real rapid round, but yeah. First is tell me the most intense sign or synchronicity that you have received in your journey.
Oh, so recently, very recently, I think there is this on Valentine's Day. I was like in Goa with my friend, and then in the afternoon, evening, I bumped into a door. And on my left hand, there was a bruise suddenly, and I didn't have to have that bruise because it was very light fall. I just tripped over, and nothing should have happened, but there was a huge red bruise. And what happened later on in the evening, around on the 13th night, it was almost like past midnight. It was already 14. Then my friend was narrating one of the love stories that he's written and all that. And it was a very lot of common terms with related to twin flame with that aspect and stuff like that. And then I suddenly see there is initials on that bruise. And it just blew me up. And what is this like? And it just got darker and darker every day. And there was very huge synchronicity for having it to happen on Valentine's Day, which I never even considered way before. It was a very special day. And I've had a lot of synchronicity. Another synchronicity that I majorly asked the universe to do was last year, September. I was in a peaceful state, but I was still doubting if this is a twin flame journey. So the temple that I regularly go to, I asked the universe, give me a sign. If I have two signs, if this is it, if she's my twin flame, you have to give me this. If she's not, give me this. So the sign was to show me two cats in any form.
Okay.
Okay, and another is she turns up in front of me unexpectedly. Okay, and another one is she's not, then give me XX in any form. In that evening, I get back from a meeting and my friend sends a shirt which has two cats.
Okay.
And then even after that, I was like, okay, maybe not, or something like that. Then exactly 1 week later, I go back to the temple. It's a regular route that I go. That day, I got deviated a little and I got delayed. And then I enter the temple. A twin flame is there, God is here, and I'm in the middle. And okay, I don't think I need any more validation now. This is
Yeah.
it. So these were some synchronicities, universities that have, there's a lot that has happened. It needs a separate section by itself, but this is one of the two things that I think has been crazy and profound.
What is one thing that you would want to change if at all you could go back in time?
I think one thing is constantly being on her head, wanting her all the time. I think I was quite immature Back then, I was very emotionally dependent on her. I don't think even I would have handled myself the way she handled me. So I'm grateful for her. I've told her this many times that I've been wrong. I've not done things very rightly. I've been very dependent. I've been very clingy. But still, you held on to me for a very long time. And I respect that. So, one thing is definitely that I've been very clingy and very needy. And at times, I would probably change a little bit of that because it's just the feeling. I think that is one thing that I've been like I could have been more mature about things.
One book or teacher that changed your perspective.
First book after I was spiritually awakened was Being Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza,
Okay.
which was quite intriguing for me to understand the initial phases of spirituality, about the chakras and all those aspects, and how to go through that process of pranayam and all that meditation aspect. So I think that was definitely one of the books. I don't think I have a particular teacher.
Yeah.
I consider my twin flame itself as a huge teacher of my journey and spirituality. She constantly keeps mirroring my what I need to learn. So I think teacher wise that and book wise I can only recall of that one book, Being
Okay.
Supernatural. I have recommended it to a lot of people, especially someone who comes from a science background
Yeah.
needs to read it because we are constantly in a phase where we're thinking about science aspect and the spiritual aspect. And I think
Yes.
Dr. Joseph Dispenza does it beautifully, merging science and spirituality.
Yes, absolutely. What is your go-to spiritual tool? Is it journaling, meditation, energy healing, or anything else?
I think meditation and journaling is one aspect that I've recently developed art, which I wanted to, but otherwise art form. Any kind of art form. Like I do a lot of full moon rituals where I just take a sheet and do intuitive sketches and stuff like that. So where I don't think about the end result, I just keep going with the flow of where my hand is flowing and just keep doing it. So it does not necessarily have to be meditation or these typical aspects. It can be anything that you enjoy. For me, sometimes it just can be dance, just the body flow movement, having the music play and just let your body flow through without having to have a choreography in mind. Just let the body match the tune or being in the nature, grounding yourself in the nature, rolling in the nature. I just go into my terrace and sit and talk to the moon. People would think I'm a fool, but I just sit and talk to the moon like I'm talking to her. Yeah.
What's more powerful, soul recognition or physical attraction?
There's only one. Soul recognition, obviously.
One word to describe your awakening.
One word to describe my awakening. Let's say a roller coaster ride that ends with a bloom.
Beautiful. Amazing.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for joining me on the Empower Hour session. And I will definitely call you again when there is some milestone that comes in
Yeah.
your journey. And I'm sure you will have a lot.
I
Talking
hope
from,
this helps.
yeah,
Yeah, I hope this helps a lot more people and inspires a lot more people.
absolutely.